Is your home currently on the market and it's not selling? You're going to tune into this episode of the Mathis Real Estate Group show as we talk about the 3 key things you need to make sure are being done so that your home will sell in today's market. So when we talk about home selling, we get a lot of questions around this topic. What are the main things that we need to do to sell our home? That's hands down the number one question we get anytime we meet with one of our home sellers. And for us, it really breaks into 3 big categories. And what we're going to do is we're going to cover one category today on this show, and then we'll do the other 2 categories in following shows. So the 3 main categories, just so you have an idea of what they all are, the first category we always look at is price. Is your home priced correctly with the current market conditions? It's a very tricky thing, especially in a market where the home prices are shifting downward. It can be tricky to price your home. The second thing we look at is what is the condition of the home? So the second key thing is condition. What's the condition of your property? Is it move-in ready? Is it freshly painted? Is it curbside appeal there? We'll really dig into not only what is a condition that we're seeing buyers look for right now in today's market, we'll also dig into some tips and tricks that we tell our sellers every time they put their home on the market. And the third thing, and we're actually going to dig into this today, and this is one of my favorite topics, is marketing. How is your home being marketed? And this is one of those cool things that, because we're going from this age of where marketing used to be done just one way for real estate, and now we're seeing it done in so many different ways. There's so many different varieties of ways to market your home. So when we think about marketing, we actually like to think about it in 3 categories. The first category is traditional. Traditional marketing is exactly what you think it is. It is, the typical put it in MLS, the multiple listing service, make sure that it's been syndicated to all the major websites. Make sure that you have a postcard that's been sent out to the neighborhood that says, coming soon or just listed or whatever you want to put out there. Having a sign in the yard is traditional marketing. Having texting information on the sign so that people can text and it goes right to a website, that's traditional marketing. That's one of the key things we still see a lot of agents do. It's pretty normal in today's market. It's not anything above and beyond. The second category we like to look at is digital. Now, digital is a really interesting space. So when we think of digital, we think of anything that's online. So does your property have a single property website? Does it have a unique URL for that particular property so that traffic can be driven towards it whenever you put it on Google? And how is the search engine optimization? Is there any kind of pay-per-click being done for it? And then also when you think of digital, think of the representation of your property. So one of the key things that we really pay attention to is how does this thing show up online? And that's because the most recent report that the National Association of Realtors did on home buyers and home sellers showed that something like 92% of all home searches start online now. I mean, basically everybody starts looking at homes online. So how your home shows up online is important. And one of the key pieces of the digital marketing component is making sure that you have outstanding photos done of your home. I promise you, nothing is worse than somebody going online to see a house they like. If they drive by your home, they Google the address, and then they go online, they click on whatever site it takes them to, and they see these photos that are dark. They don't show the whole room. They don't show the particular features of the house. They don't really hone in on anything. They don't really give a buyer a good first impression. And we've actually had clients tell us when they're looking at homes that they did not want to view a property based solely on the online representation of that home. That's mind-blowing that someone won't even walk through a house if the online photos don't show up well. Other digital pieces that we look at is video. Is there video being done of the property? Do you have a virtual tour set up of the property? Do you have online sketches for people to look at so they can see the layout of the house? All these pieces add together to make it a very attractive package so that it tells a story when people go online. They're not just going in and they just see this house and it's just, poorly lit photos. The copy written about the house is really boring and bland and just, 3 bedroom, two bath, curbside special, blah, blah, blah. They're not gonna read it, it's not really interesting. Is it telling the story of the home? And then also, on that single property website, is there a section talking about the amenities of the area? What's around that home? What's the location of that property? All these things add up to having a really solid digital presence when we're looking at how do we market that home online. The third category is what we call social. So social marketing is the newest one to the game, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's social media. Does your home have a good social media presence? Is it being put out there on the right channels and in the right manner on those channels? So every social channel has different interactions with the users. Facebook is kind of the older crowd now, where they go in and they prefer more facts and data, and they want to know more about the particular home, and they want to be able to link out to the actual website to view more information on it. Instagram, you have to remember, it was started originally as a photo sharing app for photographers. So they're really big on what are the most beautiful photos that you have, and it will drive interaction with people when you do that. So if you put just boring statistics on Instagram, it's not going to perform as well as if you have a drone shot showing, like 20 acres of land, that's what your property has, for example. It's going to perform a lot better with that really, really beautiful photo versus just a very small photo and just some detailed information on it. And then you think about the other social media. So like YouTube is where you would upload your videos to, and make sure that, because that's still a social media channel that people go and search for houses on. It's actually one of the bigger search tools, because people forget who owns YouTube is Google. So it's one of the biggest search engines in the world. So making sure that your property is represented really well on YouTube as well is an important piece of marketing your home on all the social channels. Now, there's other apps out there as well that you can look at as far as social. And when we think of social, we also think of like social media advertising. So what is your house currently doing beyond the organic reach? So when you think about social, there's organic reach, which was where we just post it, we don't pay anything for it. It goes on a business page, maybe in a group, maybe on your personal page. Doesn't cost you any money. And a lot of the sites are now saying, or a lot of the apps are now saying, that they're limiting your organic reach, and that's intentional, because what they want you to do is for anybody who is a business to pay to play. So they want us to pay to put your property or whatever you're promoting or selling, the product, in front of more people. So knowing how to do social media advertising the right way is a really big piece of this. We started doing it back in 2012. So we've been doing this for over 7 years now at a really, really high level. So it's not just about how many people view the property. Attention is important. That is one thing we're trying to do, is get as many eyeballs on it as possible, but target marketing to that particular component of people that may be interested in your property. And what we see, the biggest mistake here is where people just boost it out there in front of a broad audience. People who have no interest in buying your home whatsoever. So really targeting the demographic and the psychographic components of selling your home. Who would want to live in that area? Who wants to buy that type of home? Who is the ideal home buyer? Making sure you're targeting all of that. And that's the power of social media, right? Is that we can target through the different algorithms. For example, within Facebook, it lets us target all the way down to a certain area code, all the way down to a certain house, and then we can target interest of that area. So if you live in a golfing community, for example, we can target people who like golf, because that's somebody who would most likely buy a home in a golfing community. So the ability to do that is an important piece. And when you add all those three together, that is the marketing picture for a house, right? So you got to have the traditional component if it's done well, and then you have to have the digital component, and you're making sure that your online presence is done really well. And then your social component, making sure that you're on all the right platforms in the right manner on each platform, and that there is a social spend on there so that you're spending money around it so that it's actually being pushed out. Because we're seeing, like I said, a lot of the platforms are now limiting or throttling organic reach, and that's intentional because they have to make money. So that's one of the key components that we see out of the three. If your home is not selling, that is really something to dig into, is what is the marketing of my home? And typically we see for sale by owners really struggle with this one, because they'll put their home up on a major website and then they'll just simply put a sign out in the yard, and then they get nobody looking at the house because nobody knows it's there, right? So you have to make sure you're hitting all three components to be successful and to sell your home quickly in the shortest amount of time for the most money possible, so that you really get a good net profit out of it. So that's part one. Stay tuned for part two.